You stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Who is scruffy-looking?
Hello and welcome to the Nerf Herders. I'm your host, Corsec9, and I have with me today Garrick and Corsec.
Hello there.
How was Worlds?
It was a lot of fun. I am glad I went. It was my first event outside of Atlanta. So there were, a few more people there that I'm used to. But we were in like a ballroom, so the lighting was nice. It had carpeted floors instead of just being a hard surface, which was really nice on our feet. It was the longest day of Armada I've ever had. I've never gotten more than 3 rounds, and those normally don't have a break between them. So having, a break for lunch really extends the day. But surprisingly, I didn't struggle that much for day 1. I never, planned to make it to day 2. I had already bought my Monster Trucks ticket before day 1 even started. But and then on Thursday we did the Nexus side event. That was a lot of fun. We got to see a lot of different stuff on the table, and I think the subjugators got a lot of attention from passersby. So
Nice.
I think we'll be seeing more interest in Nexus. It's just really good for like side events or casual play. And then Worlds Day 1. I took a list Imperial 134, ISD 2, Quasar, and I only had one game where someone asked if I had Sloan, and I got to say no. Puzzle. I was hoping that would happen in all of my games, but that's just how I roll. I don't want to play Sloan, and I had a lot of fun. I was matched up round 1 with one of my locals, Michael, and I only lost to him 7-4, which is a good improvement. He's playing Rebel MSU, which I've always struggled into, and I faced a lot of Rebel MSU like I always tend to, and my goal has been to lose to it less, but I did manage to win against it by the end of the day. So I lost the first game 7-4, and then Ian tabled me in round 2, which helped him get to the day 2. And can't remember who was my third game. Barrett. Let's see. I won that 6-5. Trying to remember what he flew. Let's see. He had the Victory 2, Gazanti, Quasar, Gladiator. So I was able to, I don't know what all I killed. It was a 6-5, let's see, 105 to 143. So I think it was mostly squads. And then the last game, I faced a Hammerhead Swarm. I was able to take out his squads and score some off of my fighter ambush. I was 13 points away from it being an 8-3, and my Saber Squadron whiffed a shot into his Hammerhead that would have gotten me a 15-point token at the very end. So after the game, I found that out. It was funny, but everyone was really nice. It was a lot of fun. Monster Trucks is 800 points and no squads. It's a very big game. I only played the first 2 rounds of that because I needed a break. I wish I had gone and taken a nap, because the next day we did the Legacy Team Tournament, which I did okay in. I had a lot of fun. I did get to play against Danger Panda again. I played him in January for the first time at the Southeastern Championships in Atlanta. And so I got him to teach me how to play Abandoned Mining Facility, because I know he's nice and will, show me how to play it and be patient with me. So I have now played Purgle, which I've never played before. I do think we forgot them after the first round, so they didn't move, but they didn't impact the game either. But he did defeat me pretty handily in that. But no, I think I could do better next time into that objective. And I did have Dooku, that's one of the better matchups I could have had. But the reason we're on today is we actually wanted to talk to Aiden Jablonski. I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, but Aiden, if you want to say hello to everybody.
Hello.
So we wanted to talk to you about not just your Worlds experience, kind of your whole Armada career.
Mhm.
That led to that. So if you want to talk about like when you got into the game and all that, and basically, your experiences leading up to this Adepticon.
Yeah. So I think this game released back in like 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2015, yeah. So my dad and I, we originally played X-Wing, and then we saw Armada. So we kind of like were balancing in between the two, but eventually we kind of just switched into Armada once it kind of released and got um bigger updates involved, and him and his friends like got different ships and whatnot. So we played a lot of Armada when I was young, back when it first released, and it was nice having different things release throughout the years. Like I remember like the MC-80 Home One, like the Star Destroyer, and like everything, so on and so forth. Um, we honestly just played basic for fun games. Like we just put together whatever we had available. I think like at the start we had like a core box, Gladiator, Raider, Gozani with some Imperial fighters, and then basically kind of the very similar thing for Rebels with the assault frigate, um, Gozantis, or no, the GR-75, sorry, and like some squads. And it was just basic, hey, want to do anything today? Weather's not looking too good. Let's go play some Armada. Um, so we just, played that for years, kept collecting. Um, I think my first ever experience playing with somebody that just wasn't him was back in the summer of 2023. He was in like some Facebook groups for Armada, and there was a guy who was playing locally. His name's Derek. He made a ping on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be playing at this store at this time." And my dad's like, "Hey, look at this. You should go to that." And I'm like, "All right, sure, why not?" So I went, and that was my first ever experience with like actual Armada, and not just kind of sit down at the table, get a game in, go about my day. Like we played like 3 matches, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. Um, and Derek had planned different events and tournaments, also because AMG was doing the you get first place in one of their prizes, you get the invite to Adepticon. We had like 3 of those boxes, and we did a few tournaments um, throughout like the summer and fall, not summer, sorry, fall and winter of 2023. Um, and it was a lot of fun to do. My first actual competitive experience, and it was just amazing. My first tournament I played in, there was like I think 13 people. I got like 8th. I ran a Piet fighter ball, just literally bare bones stuff. Like I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, that's just just seeing like what I threw together back then. It was rough, but it was fun. The second tournament I did 4th. Very like an updated version of that Piet ball. And then the third one I got first, so I got that invitation to Worlds 24. I ran a Martuk fleet with like 2 Recusants and a Providence. Um, so I like, I felt like I improved throughout every single tournament we played. And then when we got to Adepticon 2024, since it was in Chicago, um, like, my friends and I went. My dad went with me because at the time I was still 16, and he wanted to go with me, and we made a nice little trip out of it. We had the drive out, took about like 8-9 hours. Um, and it was a lot of fun. And when we got to Chicago, we had like a day, so it was just we went out, saw the city, and then the day of Worlds, we went, and I don't remember what I ran specifically. All I remember is that I made the bold decision of bringing a Venator, an Imperial Venator. Needless to say, it did not exactly do the best, but I still had a lot of fun doing that. Um, Worlds was a lot of fun. I met a lot of nice people there. Um, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do this again next year, wherever they may have it. Um, so I played in a few more tournaments after that, and I got some pickup games in, and it was just, a lot of more localized play. Um, and then we get into Worlds 25, where I went again, but this time I went with my mom, because again, I was still, so I was 17 by then. And my mom and I went out that year to Milwaukee because they had moved it from Chicago that year. So it was a little weird having, 24, we had that little secluded area in the hotel away from the center, and then Worlds 25, we were in like the big center, and it was just so cool for me seeing that, and it was nice actually being in the center for once. Um, so Worlds 25 was pretty good. I again, as you said earlier, like the goal wasn't to do good; it was more to just go and have fun. And that was my goal. My goal was to at least get like maybe a win and just have fun, explore the con, play some good matches of Armada, and learn a few more things. And I did. Actually got one win there, so I felt complete. I went home satisfied at the end of the day. Excuse me. And then leading up to Worlds 26, again, just the same pickup matches. Um, Nothing really more competitive since then. And Worlds 2026 this year, it was a lot of fun. It was so nice seeing everybody. It was so nice meeting all of these new people that I'd never talked to before, or even seeing some people that I had talked to before in um, previous years. And the goal this year was just, again, just have fun, like not focus on the competitive aspect too much. But I really don't know how, I made it to day 2 of Worlds, which was really surprising to me. Um, and it was so nice just, seeing more of the competitive side to Armada that I had not seen before. Because day 1, a lot of fun, a lot of just people there to have a good time, and then day 2, it was like whole new ball game of just it was just competitive, and it was really weird experiencing. Um, I didn't do too well day 2. I think I had 3 losses and a tie. Um, but it was a lot of fun still. I met some good people who flew lists very well. And I hope next year is like the same thing of just we go to have fun. I see a little more of the competitive side. I, get some advice from people and whatnot. And I go back and rinse repeat, kind of the same deal. But um, again, it was just the matter of going from just, localized play, pick up games to just the big competitive stuff. It was so cool to see throughout my entire Armada experience, especially from launch too. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love this game.
Yeah, it was really cool meeting you at Worlds. I really like meeting, well, most of the people I
Yeah,
hadn't met before. Um, and also like for meeting a lot of the people I talked to online.
yeah.
Although we hadn't actually talked online before.
No, I
I
think
just
World's our first interaction.
Yeah, and I saw a Separatist fleet, and I was like, or I don't know if you came up to me or I came up to you because I was flying Separatists in the Nexus event. Um,
I don't
but
remember. I
yeah,
think
I
it was
was
like more of a
following.
mutual thing.
Yeah, I was following your games because of I wanted to see CIS do well.
Mhm.
But I do want to talk about your fleet. You had a Providence carrier with Martuk, Teaks, thermal shields, IF, external racks, PDIC, and XI7s.
Mm.
And you had the Recusant light destroyer, Shumai, ordnance experts, APT, swivel mount batteries, and Patriot's Fist. And then you had the Muni comms frigate, which is the ARC. No, wait, that's the ARC points, not the ARC version. Okay, I saw Arc beside it. I was thinking that was their
Yeah,
version of
'cause
the
they
comms
made the
frigate.
5 points.
Yes, the 5 points helped a lot with that.
Yeah.
You had Sandhill boosted comms and LTT on it, and then you had the Flak or Fok prototypes and 3 tri fighters. Ace is Flak or Fok again.
Yeah.
What does Flak or Fok do? Is that the one that damages them if they end their activation near him?
Yep. Yeah, yeah. And it's a nice card. I really like that Tri-Fighter specifically. But it's just that damage if you end your activation.
Yeah, I always want to get like Wat Tambor positioned properly
Yep.
so it works, but I never really can. Yeah,
It's simple.
tell me about this fleet and how you like came to decide to run this.
So I mentioned earlier, when I got first place to the invite to Worlds 24, I had ran the 2 Recusant and Prov with Martuk. Um, like ever since then, I've kind of just experimented with it, like, because I knew it could be improved. I saw that there was like some things I decided on that I'm like, okay, especially with the changes to things like LTT and points increase to PDIC, and just it was more of a remaking it and revising it. Um, I had talked to someone, his name was Steve. I don't remember his last name, but I talked to Steve at Adepticon 25 during the Nexus tournament, and he had kind of given me like a rundown of something that he had run with Martuk, the carrier, and the Recusant, but instead of the Muni, he ran uh, the Gazantes and a hard cell. And he gave me the idea of the Teaks IF, where you can just do the Teaks, gain the token, like turn 1 or something, turn everything else, or however long you want to do it for, you can just intensify. So that way you have always that set die and you don't need to re-roll as much. The carrier itself, I feel, is just kind of like a battering ram in a lot of ways. It has the built-in defensive retrofit. It has ordnance slot, ion slot, and turbolaser slot. And X-Rex, XI7s is always a very fun combo to run. It's very deadly, especially with the Providence, with that nasty double arc it has. And then PDIC for just, any squads that I came across, which I didn't run across very many squad lists in Adepticon. A lot of MSU though, I won't lie. The Recusant with the Shumai, also Steve's idea for just the extra rerolls. APT swivel mount is more to just try and get that lucky crit. I didn't get it so often. I think I activated like maybe 3 times because of how much MSU I ran into, and they just evaded it to either cancel it or just block it out or re-roll it. So it didn't activate too much, but the times it did, it was nice. Pat's Fist, I feel, is sometimes just an auto include for the Recusant, especially if you're trying to run it as like a sniping ship, which is what I was trying to go for. And honestly, the Recusant is just a fun ship to fly. Like, it's very, very cheap for a large ship. It has that double click at speed 3 and evade, and it's just a fun ship. I love the Recusant. I have like 3 or 4, and I sometimes just bring them out, just make a list, play with them. I love those ships. They're so much fun. The Muni was more to just try and tie up and just block any squads that I came across, which again, it wasn't many. So the Muni ended up just like kind of sitting in the back sometimes, picking off ships that the Wreck and the Prov like couldn't get. And Sandhill giving that 4 to activate all 4 at once and kind of get an alpha strike on you. But yeah, like that was just my train of thought of just, anti-ship, small fighter screen, just get that alpha strike on them, because 400 points, I'm most likely going to be going first a lot of the time. So just try and get a first swing at somebody and then worry about the damage I take later and if they're alive or not. So it worked, kind of. Depends on how you kind of see it and what I was fighting. But yeah.
So You did answer. I was going to ask if Teaks was just there to fuel intensify firepower.
Yep.
And so with Teaks, what dials do you normally run on your Providence?
I think what I did. What did I do? I think I did 2 navs and an engineering. Um, the navs to just like for turn 1, like go speed 2, take a token, and then that way I have token from Teaks for the IF, and then the nav token for later if I need it. And then another nav for trying to get that double arc. If I'm going, I end up going speed 3 or even just hit double click at 2. And it was nice. I got a few double arcs here and there. And then engineering by turn 3, like the ship's most likely gonna have taken a few hits by then, so it was just a matter of patching up whatever shields needed to be patched up, and then, with the Teaks, I have to reset it as what it was. So, 6 turns after the first 3, it's just rinse repeat. That way I have the 2 navigates again to just get me out of a sticky situation. Like example, like front arc of an ISD, I can just do like a double click around or whatnot. And then turn 6 I can get whatever engineering I need to get off, which in theory it would have been nice, but in execution it was kind of because the Providence died like a lot. I think I didn't play the Providence right a lot of the time, but I mean the Recusant and the Muni itself could just kind of make up for the damage that the Providence wasn't able to dish out. But it was tough.
This was a rough year for thermal shields, because it's so good. If you're facing any like Star Destroyers or anything, it's really good. But
Yep.
I think there were like 30 something CR90s in the first day.
Yeah, there was a lot of MSU, like more than I think most people were expecting too. Like even
Yes.
my local buddies, like my buddy Will, who also went to Worlds with me, we weren't expecting to see so many MSU. He runs Rebels. He ran an MSU. I guess. Do you count the assault frigate as a small, or do you kind of count it as a medium?
Heck, if I see a Liberty and a swarm of CR90s, I call that MSU. You can put an L in front of it if you want. It's still MSU.
You know what? That's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
Um,
Yeah, like there was a lot, and I wasn't expecting there to be so many.
Yeah. And I wanted to know. Let's see. So for the Recusant, you've layered rerolls. I'm assuming Shumai, you're doing rounds 2 and 4.
I did rounds 3 and 5.
Okay. Did you do that basically every game, 3 and 5?
Yeah, it was. I just did 3 and 5 as like by turn 3, I'm most likely gonna be within medium to close range, or if we're both just going, I think I did play an onager list, so like by turn 3, I was just getting in a long range and I'd already taken hits from the onager. So it was kind of just the safe zone of turn 3 is where most shots were going to be fired. And then with the Ordnance Experts as well, to try and get that sneaky APT activation. And I'll be honest, my dice rolls sometimes just aren't all that. And it was more of just a, hey, I roll like poop. I get to Shumai 3, let's say reds, Ordnance Experts, the black with swivels. But it was more of just a safety net if things didn't go my way, and they did most of the time. So Shumai was kind of just there to re-roll on, if I had 2 misses. But even then, one of them was going to be an IF, so it was re-rolling just one to just get some extra cheeky damage in.
Yeah,
All really depend on their defense tokens. How did the XI7s work for you? Because that's like a soft accuracy on a redirect.
Yeah, it was just, again, it was a matter of like how much MSU I ended up running into, where no matter what, they were most likely going to be redirecting 1 damage or 2, and it was just, more damage I got on that hull zone. Another thing was just the Providence just kept dying a lot. I think out of all my games in day 1, it died like 3 times, and in day 2 it died like twice. But in the rounds that I did fight, I am gonna use the reference of the Onager again. It shredded through the Onager's front shields, but he had, I think it was 2 interdictors with projection experts. So every single shot that I was shooting, I'm burning down 5 shields, but he's regaining 4. So it was a matter of, can I burn down shields quick enough before the Providence kind of dies? And it was the case most of the time. I did get a few ships with the Providence, or at least with the Recusant, that were weakened from the Providence. But the XI7s definitely, it helps. Like, it definitely helps. Out of all of the other ones that I could have picked, I probably would have just gone with XX9s just to get that critical effect. But I figured since I had the points, XI7s wouldn't be horrible.
So I was gonna say on the Recusant, I mean, I always run the basic peaks, run veteran gunners on mine.
Hmm.
I put X-Rax just for the threat, and then Patriot's Fist. The Turbo Laser, depending on points, I normally do either XI7 or just XX9s. But did you ever wish you had someone other than Shumai on there, and maybe vet gunners to just cover everything? Like, how hungry for tokens did that ship feel as you played?
I mean, with the swivel mount, with how it was, I think I did a good job of keeping the front arc like where it needed to be most of the time. If I were to swap out Shumai, I'd probably swap her out for maybe like Rune Hakao to get me either an extra Confire token reroll, or to reactivate swivels and then maybe do a navigate for the sake of just having a navigate token, and I can do a different command later in the game. But I think the Shumai just helped with the reds. If I were to do anything, I would probably swap out Ordnance Experts for Sensor Team, just to get some more accuracies, because the MSU evades, they're deadly. They really get you, especially when you're going after CR90s, and yeah, you can only accuracy 1 evade if you only get 1 accuracy, and then they're just doing another. So most of the time it's, you just go for the redirect, and they're still canceling like 2 dice if, they're at long. So I'd probably
And
swap out Ordnance Experts.
in your first game, it wouldn't have mattered because you faced Mon Mothma,
Yep.
so you can evade anyway. And she
I
gets
did
her
do that.
boosted evades.
Yeah, I kind of didn't realize that she worked through evades. That was definitely a misplay on my part. I was like, hold on, did you just say that you can go through my accuracy? He's like, yeah, and I'm like, what? And he's like,
That was
Mon
part
Mothma.
of the first arc release, the update, because Mothma was really never used. So now she
Yeah,
kind of gets that ECM across the fleet, and
yeah,
I think it's really good. We don't see as much of her as you'd expect, but I think she's really good, especially with all this MSU we're seeing.
I agree, especially with like ships like the MC30s. You can do Admo with Mon Mothma and basically just get through whatever accuracies your opponent throws at you. I really do like that change to Mon Mothma. I hope she gets used a lot more in MSU fleets for Rebels. And as someone who fought her, I honestly was thinking like, man, I kind of want to run a Rebel fleet now.
I would rather you stick with CIS and not go over, because there are enough Rebel players already.
That is true. That is very true. There was like 40 this year?
It was
Yeah, it was.
47% of the field.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, that's the highest of any faction I've ever seen. Normally, I've seen Empire as high as 45% before in some tournaments. Usually, Empire leads everybody in the 35 to 40% range, and Rebels is a few percent behind them. But yeah, Rebels was way ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
Just make the CR90 like 10 points more expensive. That's fine. Just kill it. get rid of it forever.
No, 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 no. No,
But I'm tired of fixing it.
if we see a big rise in MSU swarms, you'll see gunnery teams start popping up everywhere to counter it.
That's not a horrible idea.
Yeah, no, it's
you're-
it's a natural progression. It's a natural cycle. You know, some kind of archetype gets popular, and then its natural counter gets popular, and you know, it just becomes this giant circle.
Yeah.
So let's see. Your next game was against the double interdictor combat refit and onager Gazanti.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a nasty fleet. They had proximity mines. How did that go?
He did actually trigger prox mines. Our objective was volatile deposits, and he had put 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side. And he kind of just moved them in to where I kind of was going to be, so I had to run into 2 of them. They hurt. They hurt a lot because they just go straight through everything. 2 hull damage. He got 2 hits. So it was definitely rough on my ships because they don't have the best haul, and I'm already getting shot at from the onager. I was thankfully having him kind of target the Providence, but after the first shot, it had like 1 shield remaining on the front. But no, it was a very fun game. I did end up losing 8-3. He just farmed that objective, and that was kind of my biggest downfall in that game and later games, especially in day 2. But no, like and he was running Mahdi as well, so it was really tough to kill that onager. But once I got the onager, I was able to snipe off his Gozanti as well. I wasn't able to do enough damage to those interdictors because he was doing 5, maybe even 6 with I don't remember what he had on. He was doing like anywhere between 5 and 7.
You had projection
it was
experts on both of
tough.
them.
Yeah, it was just tough to chew through because I think by the time I killed the onager, it was like turn 4 that I killed it. So it was then no matter if I have 2 turns to try and kill 2 interdictors that are just healing each other constantly with 1 ship that's heavily damaged and the Munificent, which is just kind of floating off. And what screwed me over is he had volatile deposits and he moved 2 asteroids. I had nowhere, so it's either I land on the asteroids or I land on more asteroids. And I made the unfortunate mistake of landing on more asteroids. So I landed on 2, I flip it, first critical is projector misaligned. Munificent front shields go down to 0. Second crit, capacitor failure. Can't move shields from the zones to another zone, can't regain anything. And the interdictors just picked off the Muni because of that, and I was just like, that was just upsetting getting both of those in a row, and then him just targeting my front because the Muni at that point was ready to fight, and then I got hit with that, and it was just like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. But it was still a fun game.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the combat refit getting used with the points drop that Arc did, and Mahdi actually. That saved that fleet like what was it, 93? So 16 points between the interdictors, and then I think Mahdi went down like 4, so that's like 20 points. And he has a 12-point bid, so he would have been at 408 before. So I'm glad that fleet is possible now, even though I don't think I would perform well into it either.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then it looks like your game right after that was facing Mahdi again, but this time he's on a Raider with Darth Vader. And then he's got a Kuat, another combat refit, and then 2 Gazantis. One is the Jerk Gazanti with 2 slicers, suppressor, ECMs.
Yep.
But it looks like you won this.
Yeah, because my fleet again is just very heavily oriented around ship to ship, especially big ship to big ship. But it was definitely tough. And this was one of the games where I lost that Providence, and because I had a thermal shields down the interdictor shot from 4 days to 2 because the Providence was on the brink of death, and the Kuwait was kind of always also on the brink of death. And I think he was going first. Yeah, he was going first, and he activated the Kuwait, and my prov is on 2 health remaining, no thermals, only a contain, and he rolled 16 damage with the Kuwait 8 from the front. He had expanded launchers, I believe. With
Yes.
I think he also had a confire. I took a photo of it because it was just like, holy, like he had
And he had a Devastator on there as well.
yeah, the Devastator was tricky to because it was like, I shoot and he spends, but then it's also a matter if he's getting more the more he spends. I think he only activated Devastator once though, maybe twice, but then it was just a slugfest the whole time. But it was definitely more of a match that I knew that I could kind of win based off of what I was bringing and what he was bringing. The jerk Gozanti was definitely living up to his name of being a jerk. It sucked because I block out the scatter, ECM, regain the scatter. It was definitely a tough Gozanti to kill. But it was still a very fun match. I think it ended in 8-3, and it kind of like made me think, all right, so I know it's not just me, it's definitely the people I'm playing and the fleets that they're bringing that are kind of just my downfall today.
Yeah, this seemed like it would be an interesting game, but like we were talking before with all the MSU, the Kuwait seems like it might do okay against MSU with, it has Palpatine on it, gunnery team, and expended launchers and Devastator. I mean, if he gets in close to any small, he's popping it. But if he can get in range of 2 at a time, Devastator's only once per round. But if you get lucky, you can kill 2 per round. I'm wondering if he actually made it into day 2 or not.
I don't think so. I think I saw him playing in Monster Trucks.
Oh, actually, I may have played him. His name is familiar. That was Steve Smaha. But so it also looks like you won big in round 4, 10-1. That's probably what got you into day 2.
I remember talking with Dottie, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You need," I think it was like 8 TP to get to day 2, and I'm like, 8, and he's like, "Maybe rough estimate, you need 8," and I'm like, "Okay, I got to do good." My 4th game I played against Jacob T, amazing guy, he's awesome. He ran a Radis Liberty. I think I went second. He picked Fleet Ambush, and what he did is he had the CR-90 in the back and his 2 flotillas with the squads in the ambush zone, and it was a matter of trying to kill the Gozantis or at least catch up. But I don't know if it was on purpose or if it was an accident, but he rammed the GR-75s with the Corvette. So he stayed in his deployment zone by turn 2, and I'm like, okay, this is good, I think. I went speed 3 with the Prov to try and just put some pressure on him through the left flank, and then on the right side I had the Muni, and in the middle I had the Recusant. Turn 3, he shot at the Muni with the CR-90. I salvo back, and I got a double and a hit. He redirected to the right side, so he had no shields on his front or right side with the Corvette, and he moved speed 4 with dial and token, and then he did an engine tech, which placed him just in range, with obstruction though, but just in range of my Recusant with Pat's Fist and Swivels. and I rolled, and I got the accuracy, or at least one, to cancel out one of the evades. He still evaded. He spent it. But it was then just a matter of like it was just too much damage, and I sniped off the Corvette before he could drop the Liberty. What he was trying to do was get around the Munificent, get around its right side, and then just like burrow into the side of it and just drill through it, and then focus on the Recus. And I think that was his idea. Him and I talked a little bit afterwards. But it was just a matter of shooting the Muni and then having it salvo back, which probably, if he didn't do that, it probably would have saved him. And then it would have been a completely different game.
Well, I mean, I am excited that you were able to, nuke Radis off the board before he dropped.
Yeah, that was nice.
So without engine text, like if he hadn't used it, he would not have been in range.
I don't think so. Like I think with also the way he was turning into my fleet as well with the Corvette, which probably helped with the whole range thing at just that long range with the Recusant. I mean, I don't think it would have been in range without engine techs, but with it, it definitely was like a guarantee. Like, okay, he's in range, but it's just a matter of how far away and is it based to the cardboard to cardboard.
Yeah, and if he had managed to keep it alive and drop that MC80 in the next round, between that and his squads, yeah, I mean, you might have gotten his flagship anyway if you had the shot, but that would have been a tough game at that point with those squads getting through, because it looks like he killed all of your squadron.
Yeah,
before that.
I tried to just send him in and just be like a barricade and just tie him down, but he got good rolls. He blocked out the scatter on flak, and it kind of just evaporated from there. And then the rest of the Tridroids were just easy pickings.
Yeah, the counter is nice, but the hull is not high. So
Nope. They're separatist squads. What can you do?
so that got you into day 2. It was very exciting. I remember how I actually remember you telling me that you were able to table Radis, and I went, "How?"
I know you were just like, you what?
Well, because like I'm like, how did you kill a ship that just dropped out of hyperspace? You're like, it didn't drop. Like, what? Like that's a game I wish I had seen, because I was like, that just did not make sense to me at all.
I don't see Radis very often, and when I do, it's normally I also don't see a Liberty Radis very often as well. It's normally like normally a 75. I played one guy locally who ran a Radis Providence. And I've seen like a Radis Starhawk before, and that one's very scary to even just see. But Radis Liberty was very unique, and it was cool seeing that. But it was also just fun playing against Radis. He's a very fun commander to fight against.
Yeah, I think the Liberty is good with Radis. I mean, it's good with a Gate as well. It's not a terrible ship. But yeah, part of the reason I don't play Rebels is when I was fairly new to the game, I tried Radis against my friend, and I had him, except I forgot, how speed and yaw work, and I put the Liberty on the board and did not realize the angle it was at, and it activated, after he moved, so it got a side arc shot and then continued to just fly around the board, unable to get on target at speed 3 because it had no nav lined up. And so it just literally dropped, barely did anything, and left the game. So after that, I decided that I'm not a rebel anyway.
Rebels are hard, man.
But,
They're a very hard faction to play.
And so many people do, and they do well with it, but I get lucky sometimes if I can find someone who is not like the absolute best, because I'm not very good, but like I'm getting used to it, and I've faced some really good players, especially in Atlanta. I wish some of them would play less MSU, but I'm getting a little better at dealing with it. So eventually I'm going to be able to to win against those guys. But on to day 2, you started the day against Nick Larson, who was
Oh
playing
yeah.
his Zombies fleet with Riken.
Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
tell me about that.
Oh, that was a rough game. s- what was the objective? I don't remember the objective, but it was one that adds in the dust fields.
That would have been Rift Ambush,
Rift
according to
ambush.
this.
Yeah.
Wasn't it his blue one?
I don't
Uh,
I don't remember. It might have.
Salvage Run was his other one.
Yeah, I
Does
think.
that have the Dust
Oh, but
Waste?
you weren't on stream with him. I'm thinking of somebody else. Sorry, I
No,
was
I
thinking the
don't.
game he was on stream. My bad.
No, you're good.
Oh, Salvage Run does include the
Salvage
Dust
one.
Waste.
Yeah, it was something. I don't have Rebellion in the Rim. I'll be honest with you guys. So I don't really know some of those ones. And even the ones that came with like Corellian campaign, I don't fly often. I like to play ship to ship combat. I'm not one to really play objective unless it's like, I don't know, contested outpost where it's just like, hey, we have to fight anyway if we want points. All right, let's duel now. That's how I kind of fly. But yeah, it was a rough game. It was again a Rebel MSU, with Riken too, which I don't think I've ever seen a Riken list ever in the history of my Armada experience. So it was really cool seeing that. Um, what had happened was he had sent in his squads, decimated mine, um, which was honestly to be expected. I was able to get his GR75 with my Providence. I think it was. I think it was a Providence. Then Providence died very soon after. The Recusant had shots on 3 of his ships, but he had Ezra, and he moved the dust field in front of the Recusant, which was going speed 2. And after moving, by the time it was through that dust field, he was already long gone, and the game was practically over. I think he also got the Muni as well, which sucked, but um, it's all right. It was a good play on him for having that Ezra Dustfield. Like I think I talked about it after. I'm like, if you didn't have that, I probably would have gotten another one of your ships, maybe 2. Um, but that definitely was it. Oh man, that was just upsetting. I just saw him say, "All right, I'm gonna do Ezra now," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, he's probably gonna move the state. Oh, he's touching the dust field. Oh, he moved that dust field right in front of my Recusant. Oh, it blocks shots, doesn't it? So that was fun.
Yeah, I hear he's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
Just a little bit. He's a local to me, um, and he usually beats up on us all with some funky, janky Obi-Wan list or something like that. But the last couple of tournaments he played that Riken list, and I think he won not the tournament right before Adepticon because he didn't come to that, but the one before that he won with the Riken list. So he's very good, and he finished. He popularized Bell 134. I think he won Vassal World Cup with it, and then right after that, he went and placed second at Worlds.
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
he's
He knew what
very
he was
good.
doing with that.
so then after that, you played against Joseph Ziebelman,
Yep.
who was first player here because you thought you had the
So
same bid, but he had bid by 1.
I was first player, and I made the mistake of going with hyperspace migration for his blue objective. Um, I had no idea how that worked. Like he explained it to me. Like I was listening, but I was not comprehending much of it. And he kind of just like made a shield around the Purgle and was basically just escorting them through. And I saw that after like turn 1, and I'm like, well, we're gonna have to go to speed 3 and curve. So I sent in the Prov. It had a double arc on his MC30. So it just evaporated it. which I was hoping to do because that thing had on XI7s and X-Racks with Ordnance Experts, so I was really not wanting it to activate. But he was also running Akbar, so the assault frigate activated, wiped off my Providence. And then by the end of so I know it says 400 and that I won with a 6-5. So what had happened was I tabled him, but he had so many points from the objective. End of it, he had like 460 something. And I don't remember what it was that Dottie said, but he said like because I tabled, the MOV was 0-0 and it was a 6-5 my way. How? I have no idea. I think that was
I
the
had
first
to
time I've
learn
ever
this
gotten a tie.
as well. It's in the tournament regulations. If you table someone, you are the winner. Because I have had that where I got tabled, but I had more points. But yeah, that's how I learned that I would still lose that game. And yeah, so I think the MOV goes 0-0 at that point.
Yeah. So that was a very interesting match. And I think it's cool to say that I am the only person in Adepticon 2026 that had a tie game, I think, throughout all of that. So that's my flex.
I think it's the only tie game I've ever seen.
I think I've had one, but it wasn't a matter of tabling. It was just a matter of we had literally the exact same points. I think it was like 300 or something. But since I wasn't, or I don't think I know it wasn't me playing, but it was somebody else, and they were like second, regular rule set for that. So it was a 6-5 for someone.
Well, let's see. Your third game, you went up against another Aiden Chastain,
Yep. That
and he
was
had
match.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that was tough. That was really tough.
Yeah, so he had Obi-Wan on a consular charger with expert shield techs, of course, and
Mhm.
he had a Venator 1 with expert shield techs and tranquility on it, and then he had 3 other consular chargers with expert shield techs and an Architon's light cruiser, the Arc one, because the legacy ones are not legal yet. That had expert shield tech. So a lot of expert shield techs.
Mhm.
Yeah, how frustrating was that?
The frustrating part wasn't actually the ships itself. So I learned that he has a nickname, which I did not know about going into that game. His nickname is Farmer Aiden, and his objectives were most wanted, abandoned mining facility, and hyperspace migration. Most wanted was just kind of like out of the picture for me because I knew MSU with a Venator, and you have like council. Like I just MSU will shred through any of the ships I have, and even if I did put it on, or he put it on like the Providence, he still would have gotten it either way. Hyperspace migration, I had just played, and I did not really want to fight that again because it was really confusing, and I was kind of just traumatized of, yeah, let's just not do that one. So I ended up doing Random Mining Facility. End of it, he had 150 points worth of objective. So it was rough. I lost the Providence and the Recusant. But I was able to get, I think, like 4 out of his 6 ships. I think the Arctons and one of the counselors survived. The Venator, since it was a Venator 1 with no thermals, it took like 2 turns to just vaporize with Pat's Fist swivel mount. But in return, he did do a lot of damage to my Recusant, which wasn't able to recover fully, and he sniped it off after getting rid of the dust field. So the Providence kind of was just gonna like try and my idea was just try and box him in, have the Providence go and face them, get in front of them and just block their escape. Which I did do kind of. It was one of those times where you wish you had the Dreadnought with gun teams, because gun teams would have definitely helped, especially with the side to side. but I think it was able to kill off 2 of the counselors, one of them being Obi-Wan, before it kind of poofed away. But no, that was a very, very fun match. But it was just a matter of like the objective. Oh man, objective is what killed me. A lot of these games, now I'm like kind of thinking about it. But no, he played that very, very well, especially with like all things considered. Like he did very well on that.
Yeah, it with so many of the farming objectives too. Like even in some that I could flip or do well in. I don't think like that. Like my goal is like I want to kill you, and I have to think. I need to farm you. Like even in fighter ambush, like I had to like remind myself like look at the ships you can farm tokens off of instead of just killing them because you know like some of those ships are hammerheads that 3 tokens is worth more than a hammerhead. So if I can farm tokens off of those, I can do better than just killing it. Or if I can't kill it, if I can farm anything off of it. But
Yeah.
your last game was against Aramel, Adam, and you lost. But talking about tying games, it was 101 to 100. And I
Yeah.
remember you talking about this in person.
I was it was game 4. I was like, okay. Like I was like in my mind, I'm like, my day is basically done. Like I know I'm not making it to day 3. I didn't expect to. But in my mind I was like, all right, I'm just kind of mentally clocked out. I'm picturing me eating dinner right now. The objective, I don't remember the objective. I think it was fleet ambush. Yeah, no. Was it? No, I think it was
Was it?
surprise attack.
Were you first player or second?
I was second, I think. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I think I was second player though. I think it was surprise attack. Um
Okay.
and since it was all MSU, turn 1, I think my first 3 for the dial on surprise attack, it was nav confire. And what he did is he took um token nav token turn 1, and since he didn't spend out any of the nav raids, I'm like, well, there was no use to kind of having the second nav raid. And turn 2, he just spent the token and used the dial to move around a lot. He also had a jerk Gozanti, but instead of 2 ECM, he had Ezra. And I think it was Bright Hope.
Quantum Storm.
Quantum Storm, the other one. I always get those 2 confused. I know what they do, but I don't remember the names a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I was able to kind of pick that one off with the Recusant. I also did not deploy remotely close to how I probably should have. I deployed very sporadic and spread out to kind of, like, my idea was just cover the field, because he had like 6 Corvettes. Or no, he had like 6 ships total, like 4 Corvettes. So it was like spread out, cover as much ground as you can, and then try and pick them off one by one. But instead of doing that, it happened to me. I think he sniped off my squads and the Muni, or not even not all the squads, but he definitely sniped off Flak. I know that, and like another squad in the Muni. And I'll be honest, I was like, it was like turn 4, and I'm like, okay, let's be honest. You're just gonna fly away. We're not gonna do anything else. Would you just like to call it here? Not conceding, but just a mutual, hey, let's just save some time. And he's like, no, I want to see how this plays out. I'm not trying to be rude. And I'm like, all right, okay. I personally didn't think much was gonna happen. And what he was trying to do is he was trying to get more points with the Recusant. The only ship that was close enough to the Recusant at the end of the game was the Pelta, and even then it survived. The Recusant survived on 1 hull. And what he had done is he even said it, he was like getting greedy about it, and he was like trying to recurve some of his Corvettes to refocus the Recusant. But in the process, he ran one off the board. And in my mind, I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to win. and I'm like, I was just, game ended. I thought that I had won, and so I was like, I went to grab my water bottle and just, sit down for a little bit. He comes running over to me, and he's like, dude, I won by 1 point. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, yeah, 100 to 101. And I'm like, I just sat there and I was like, this can't be real. Like, I was frustrated, not with him, but just seeing that, it was just so demoralizing. And I'm like, well, at least it's day 2. I don't gotta do anything else tomorrow except go home. Um, but it was a very fun game still. Also, one of the ones where it was just like, oh my gosh, another MSU fleet. When will this end? 'Cause I ran like 6. It was rough, but it was a
Yeah.
fun time.
Yeah, I faced a ton of MSU, and I will say, day 3 when I was in the Legacy Team Tournament, though, like I think it was round 2, and I was very tired, but I did face a Swarm of Seer 90s, and I did manage to win that game as well. I was back to flying Separatist though. I had a Providence and a Patriot's Fist, so I think few days in a row of facing Rebel MSU really helped. So we'll see if any of that sticks with me next time I face it. And I
You
can
and me both.
remember, yeah, you got to remember to focus it down. Like in that game, I had to look at his objectives and capture the VIP and just accept that I will not be touching that token. He gets it. Let's kill other stuff in his fleet and not let my stuff die. And I had been practicing that for a while, and he did give me the compliment that he'd never seen someone fly their Providence and Pat's Fist as well as I had. And, he had been trying to cause a traffic jam of my own ships. And I managed around that. I did actually ram once intentionally to stay in position. But yeah, I don't think I've ever actually flown those well as I did in that game. So I am learning, it turns out. It just takes a lot of pain and suffering along the way.
Yep, that's how separatists kind of are. Just a lot of pain and suffering because you take a first glance at separatists and you're like, all right, cool, we got a lot of cool big nasty ships here. And you fly separatists and it's just like, what am I doing? Like my
Yeah.
first time flying separatists, I had no clue how to run them. I had no clue what to build with them. And I've gotten better with it the more I play, but they are deceptively tough to try and fly correctly.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's some stuff you have to accept. It flies very differently than what I'm used to. Like Patriot's Fist is easy once you just accept. In a lot of fleets, you should just dial up nav dials and use Teaks to get whatever tokens you need. Half the time, the Teaks tokens are just to fuel my Providence flagship with Rune Hako on it and whatever third ship I have, often a Gazanti, and just push squads with something. Sometimes the Wreck isn't. I do Wreck of Destiny with Trench, but I don't fly a lot of Trench. Still trying to make Dooku work, but I haven't convinced my opponents to you know, let the raid ruin their day for the most part.
Yep.
So
That's my issue with Dooku.
Uh,
Is just they have so much anti-raid stuff, and I'm like, oh, what was the point of bringing Dooku?
Dooku really only works if I've gotten lucky a couple times where I didn't know this, but the opponent forgot how raid worked. So now a lot of times at the start of the game, I give a quick reminder, by the way, this is how raid works, and which helps them. But I don't want to win by them just forgetting. I had one person forget Thrawn dials don't ignore raid, so he had planned to just ignore it or even clear the raid with the Thrawn dials at some points. Yeah, so I give them a quick reminder, I'm not trying to be rude, trying to make sure you plan your dials based on this knowledge. Yeah, I think we have hit about an hour, so I think that's a good place to wrap it up. It was really great having you on. I'm glad we were able to go into detail with all of your games. I was worried, that we wouldn't have a ton of time, but it was really great hearing about everything in detail and
Yeah.
how you got to day 2. So I expect to see you next year, and I expect you to bring CIS into top 8.
I'm gonna try my best. It's gonna come down to what I bring, how I fly, and weirdly enough, how I am mentally. That definitely plays a part in a lot of Armada games. And hopefully I'm not too brain fried by day 2 to the point where I'm just like, all right, whatever. But yes, I'll definitely be back in Adepticon 2027. I hope to see you guys there. If you do, say hi. I'm a very social person, or at least I'm trying to be. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun this year. Thank you for having me on, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thanks. But all right. Well, Corsec, I don't know how you normally end these.
Well, thanks for coming on, Aiden, and yeah, hopefully I will get to meet you there next year. I am planning ahead because I really, really want to go, so I'm going to try to make it happen for the first time.
Sounds good.
So yeah, it was cool hearing about your journey to day 2 there. So thanks for coming on, and thank you everyone for listening. Check the show notes. I'm going to put some links to some upcoming tournaments in there. Yeah, so thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye. End recording.
Yeah, I'm trying.
That's okay.
It's a lot harder on mobile.
Oh.
Oh,